Now at 6, the Bay State bracing for another nasty nor'easter.
Heavy snow and strong winds causing more concerns. We're tracking when the storm will start and the expected totals for your area.
Developing out of New York, 5 people killed when a helicopter crashes into the East River.
Cold case arrest. A North Carolina man charged in connection with the murder of a 15-year-old Kingston girl.
Troubling threat, increased police presence expected this morning at Lowell High School after a disturbing discovery on Facebook.
Caught on camera, police in Methuen releasing new surveillance video to try and track down an armed robber on the run.
This is 7 News Today in New England.
And good Monday morning. Thank you for being with us. I'm Amaka Ubaka.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Anderson. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Hope you enjoy your Monday because tomorrow it's going to get rough and tumble. We want to get right over to meteorologist Ren Claire. Round 3, another nor'easter.
I know, right? 3 in 10 days, Chris. We're on a roll here, but at least we know what to do when we start seeing those flakes. No cobwebs to shake off there. Temperature-wise, we're in the low 30s here in Boston, upper 20s in Worcester. Highs are back into the low 40s today with light winds and sunshine this morning, but we'll see winds pick up and cloud cover increase as our next storm system moves in. Right now, it's quiet with some extra cloud cover across western Massachusetts, but a lot of clear skies across eastern Mass. Here's our storm system, and it's working its way up the eastern seaboard, strengthening as it does so into tonight. And that's when we do have this winter storm warning in effect tonight through the day tomorrow with heavy snow likely and near blizzard conditions. So we're going to see 1 to 3 inches of snow per hour at times, visibility definitely down to under a quarter of a mile. And this is a lighter snow as well. So as winds pick up for us, it's going to be a lot of blowing and drifting snow. As we head into tonight, we're seeing that snow more so after midnight all the way into tomorrow evening with strong winds into tomorrow morning as well, and potential for some minor coastal flooding with tomorrow morning's high tide. But it is going to be a definite tertiary concern for us compared to the winds and the heavy snow. The heavy snow is really the main one. So in terms of how much snow, 8 to 14 inches here in Boston, even higher than that as you head towards the South Shore. The Cape definitely seeing a good bit of snow with this. So this is not one of those storms where southeastern Mass can sit it out. They're going to get a whole lot of snow. Western Massachusetts seeing 5 to 8 inches of snow, and Chris is going to have more details on the storm.
Good news is that it's a drier snow than the last storm here, especially across the interior, and that means you're not adding the stress and the weight that we saw on the last storm. You remember that 12 to 15 inches we had along 495? Tremendous weight, a lot of tree damage and power outages there. Expecting the power outage number to be fewer with this storm coming in here thanks to the nature of the drier snow. And we're talking about wind that's not going to be quite as strong as that first nor'easter that knocked off so much power down into southeastern Mass and interior southeastern Mass. Now, right along the immediate coastline, the snow's a little bit wetter, especially across the outer Cape back through Nantucket. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some scattered power outages along the coastline and then down across southeastern Massachusetts. More isolated in nature, though, away from the coastline. So you can't rule it out. We're just calling for numbers that are going to be lower compared to the last 2 nor'easters. You know, you go back to the first one, it was what, over 400,000 people across the Commonwealth without power. The focus of it was down into southeastern Mass. And then on the second storm, the focus was more near the 495 belt with over 300,000 folks without power. So that number expected to be lower this go around. And there are your winds out of the northeast. They turn to the north pretty quickly during the day tomorrow, and they will be strong. We're talking about gusts close to 60, maybe even exceeding 60 miles an hour across the Cape, up through Cape Ann as well. Probably more on the order of 30 to 50 in the Boston metro area and closer to 30 inland. But it's important that that wind turns out of the north and then to the northwest, because you don't have one of these east winds for 2 days plying the water back to the coastline like we did during the first nor'easter. Also, the tide astronomically low, so that goes a long way. We're only expecting pockets of minor coastal flooding versus anything more significant, and especially a far cry from what we had on that first nor'easter with major coastal flooding, guys.
All right, Chris, thank you. Rush hour is underway. We want to get over to Elena Pinto with a look at the morning commute. Hey there, Elena.
Hey there, Chris. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. This is what the Pike looks like right now. Eastbound, westbound, no problems really at all from 495 into Boston. Should be smooth sailing. If you're taking 93 either on the expressway or if you're coming in from the north, it's going to be a pretty smooth commute unless you got to go through the split. Then that's a little bit heavy this morning, too. And then on the expressway, this is what it looks like near the gas tank. Not too bad. Things are slow, but they're not stopping and go just yet, but you will see a little bit more color on the expressway on the split and even on 93 coming in from the north, especially before 128 too. It's a little bit busier there, a little bit busier on 95 approaching 128 and 24. Just your typical slowdown. No crashes, no breakdowns just yet, so that's the good news, and your drive time will be pretty average on the expressway now, about 16, 20 minutes or so. 12 on the Pike, 15 on 93, no delays on the T and the commuter trains.
All right, now for more on our next blast of winter weather. Many areas already battered by 2 nor'easters, now bracing for more as a third storm takes aim at the Bay State. This one expected to bring significant snowfall, and it could make for some pretty dangerous conditions for your morning commute tomorrow.
You want to be ready for it, and you also want to be ready by not putting that snow plow, the snow shovels, or any of that stuff away just yet, because you're going to need it. 7's Carrie Corrado live in Scituate this morning with more on the preparations. Fortunately for people along the coast, Carrie, this is expected to be a snow event.
Right, but they say they had enough. They can't seem to catch a break here in Scituate. They said they don't mind the snow. It's the flooding that always causes a concern for them. Thankfully, we're not expecting that to be too bad for this storm.
A flag that hangs outside a Scituate home says, "Don't give up the ship." And no one plans to. So far, residents put up a good fight after 2 nor'easters hit the coastline, and they are not backing down now.
Dumpsters full of stuff, helping the neighbors out. As you can see, there's still tons of stuff, and we're still working Sunday.
Monday night's storm will be in Mother Nature's hands.
Whatever happens, happens.
Scituate saw extreme flooding, and strong, powerful waves damaged a seawall here in Duxbury. In Boxford, heavy snow snapped trees.
It's been something. More trees down than I've ever seen before.
The storm taking out power all across Massachusetts.
We got it back on last night, and it was euphoric. It was absolutely euphoric to hear that furnace go on.
Now New Englanders braving for another springtime storm.
We're a crazy, resilient group of people down here. We just keep shoveling.
And majority of power has been restored in Massachusetts just in time for that third storm. Live in Scituate, Carrie Corrado, 7 News, Today New England.
Carrie, thanks. Remember, as this storm moves in, you can count on the 7 News weather team for the most complete storm coverage when we're not on air. Get the latest information anytime you need it, WHDH.com, and on our 7 News mobile and tablet apps.
Now to a developing story out of New York where 5 people have been killed in a deadly crash. A helicopter plunging into the East River and then flipping over. The pilot of that helicopter was able to free himself and was rescued, but he was the only survivor. It happened just after 7 last night. The helicopter reportedly experienced engine failure before plunging into the East River. All 5 passengers on board died. And rescue crews say they were tightly strapped in with harnesses and had to be cut out. Now, the helicopter was in the air for a photo shoot when it crashed. Right now, the FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board are investigating.
New this morning, now a driver has life-threatening injuries after a pickup truck goes off the road and ends up in the woods. Police say it happened on 93 northbound just past 495 in Andover. Fire crews had to pull the driver from that pickup truck. Happening today, the man arrested in connection with a 3-decades-old murder investigation is expected to face a judge in North Carolina. 61-year-old Michael Hand was arrested on Friday. He is the man being charged now in the 1986 killing of a 15-year-old girl from here in Massachusetts. For the very latest on this, we want to go to 7's Matt Rascone, who is live this morning with all the details. Matt?
Chris, the girl's body was found here in Miles Standish State Forest in 1986. Now, after years of investigation, authorities have made an arrest in the murder of the state police superintendent's sister. A Kingston family is one step closer to justice more than 30 years after the murder of 15-year-old Tracy Gilpin. On Friday, investigators arrested 61-year-old Michael Hand in North Carolina.
It's a long time coming.
Tim and Sean grew up with Tracy's little brother. While they never met Tracy, they still remember the family's pain.
Hopefully they can come full circle with the case. You know, it's good that they finally happened. It's the family went through a lot of pain for a lot of years, but it's good that, you know, they finally got him.
Tracy disappeared from Kingston in October 1986. Her body was found 3 weeks later at Miles Standish Park in Plymouth. The medical examiner's office ruled the cause of death as a massive skull fracture.
I came around the corner and I saw my mother. She was crying. My heart sunk.
Tracy's sister, Colonel Carrie Gilpin, talking about the awful day she found out her sister had been killed. Colonel Gilpin is now the superintendent of the Massachusetts State Police and had this to say about the arrest. For the past 3 decades, we have remained hopeful that Tracy's murderer would be identified. The much welcomed news of an arrest in the case leaves us cautiously optimistic that justice for Tracy is within reach. Authorities are now working to move the suspect hand back to Massachusetts, where he will face a murder charge. In Plymouth, Matt Rascone, 7 News, Today New England.
And right now, there's an increased police presence at Lowell High School to reassure students that the school is safe. This after the school says a troubling threat was posted on Facebook. 7's Victoria Warren is live in Lowell with more. Good morning, Vicki.
Good morning. And police investigating this moved fast. They have already arrested a student. And yes, we have seen a police presence this morning outside of the high school because school officials say they want everyone today to feel safe. The threat was made against Lowell High School. Officials say it was on Facebook, and they say it was a picture of a student with a message saying not to come to school. Lowell school officials and police took this very seriously. They were able to arrest a student, and they are also thanking a staff member and a student for giving them a heads up. Officials are saying that this is a case of see something, say something, really working. So we know that there's a student that's been arrested, but they have not given us any information as to who this student is, what grade the student is in, or when this student may be going before a judge. Live this morning in Lowell, Victoria Warren, 7 News, Today New England.
To the president's agenda now, the Trump administration unveiling several proposals for gun and school safety, including plans to strengthen security in schools, improve background checks for gun buyers, and overhaul parts of the mental health system. There is also a plan to create a commission that would recommend policy and funding proposals for school violence prevention. That could include possible age restrictions for buying some guns. Not included in the proposals, a formal plan to increase the age limit for buying certain firearms. President Trump has previously said he would support that measure.
All right, your time is 6:11, and there is much more still ahead here on Today New England. Police in Methuen on the lookout for a robber on the run, releasing new surveillance video of the man they say robbed a market basket.
Bruins trying to run their winning streak to lucky number 7 on the road against the Blackhawks. Were they successful?
And we'll have much more on another winter storm headed our way. Several parts of the state still struggling to recover from 2 others.
That's right. Another day, another storm. I'm tracking another nor'easter bringing heavy snow into tomorrow. Details on totals after the break.
Now at 6:30, more coastal concerns as the Bay State braces for another nasty nor'easter. The storm expected to bring heavy winds and plowable snow across the state. We'll have the latest track and totals.
A disturbing discovery on a historic building in Nantucket. Why police are investigating it as a hate crime.
Will she or won't she? Senator Elizabeth Warren talking 2020. Does she have her sights set on a White House run?
A hometown hero, now Olympic gold medalist, making a triumphant return, sharing some special moments with her fans.
This is 7 News Today in New England.
Good morning. It is Monday. We're back to work, back to school. Thanks so much for spending your time with us. I'm Chris Anderson.
And I'm Amaka Ubaka. Are you ready?
Do you have a choice?
In 10 days.
I guess you have a choice, and that's hop on an airplane and get out of town.
I know, right? Get maybe a quick getaway before the storm gets here, because it's going to be a doozy. I know we do have a look outside, I believe, of the skyline. Do we have a shot there?
No, we want to get right to Ren.
Oh.
Because
All right,
Ren's
Ren,
ready
fill us in.
to get down to business. Foot of snow or more, maybe?
Exactly, yeah. We're talking about some heavy snow as we head into tonight, especially past midnight, though. So you do have today to, like you guys said, take a mini vacation here, get out of town before we're talking about some very heavy snow yet again. Round 3 for us here in the last 10 days. This will be our 3rd nor'easter in the last 10 days. Right now, though, we're quiet. Temperatures are in the low 30s. We've got quite the range in temperatures, 17 in Jaffrey, 27 degrees in Worcester with clear skies and plenty of sunshine this morning, but cloud cover thickens up as we head into the afternoon out ahead of our next storm system. And winds pick up as well, ending up out of the northeast tonight. And we'll see very windy weather into tonight. Right now, it's clear skies for us, plenty of sunshine this morning with high pressure to our north. But here's our next storm system moving up the eastern seaboard. That's going to bring some heavy snow our way. We could see some rain at the onset across the coastline, but most of what we're dealing with is snow. So we do have a winter storm warning in effect across southern New England tonight through tomorrow night. And we're going to see pretty heavy snow throughout the entire day tomorrow. So it's poor travel right out the gate. Tomorrow morning, 4 a.m., we're seeing heavy snow all the way through about 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. Then that snow tapers. So snow and winds will be the main concerns with this storm. Coastal concerns are more secondary, if not tertiary, as we're just talking about some pockets of minor coastal flooding, but mostly it's the snow that we're concerned about. And here's why. Upwards of a foot of snow possible here in Metro Boston, even more than that down the South Shore towards Plymouth into New Bedford. And then the Cape also looking at a good dose of snow with 8 to 14 inches across the Middle Cape and Martha's Vineyard, 5 to 8 inches from P-Town into Chatham, as well as for Nantucket. And Chris has more details on the storm.
All right, every storm a little bit different. This one will have different features than what we saw on the past two storms. One difference for you folks across Metro West, the snow is going to be a drier snow. So this isn't the clingy, heavy, wet snow that grabs a hold of every tree branch and power line and piles up. So thinking that the power outages inland will be lower compared to the last storm. And then you go back to the previous storm, the first nor'easter, we had a tremendous amount of power outages into southeastern Mass for the combination of the heavy rain and the strong gusty winds. This go around, yes, along the immediate coastline, likely seeing a wetter snow, and will be even heavy and sticky across the outer Cape down toward Nantucket. But overall, thinking for a lot of us, that snow is a drier snow than what we have seen. The winds are going to increase out of the northeast tomorrow morning. Then the strongest winds are going to be out of the north, could gust to near 50 in Boston, perhaps 50 to 60 Cape Ann, and then down through Cape Cod, exceeding 60-mile-per-hour gusts, certainly a possibility with more like 30 to 40 across the interior. Then notice the wind direction switching to the northwest by tomorrow afternoon. So we're not talking about a storm system that produces 2 or 3 days of an east wind like we did in the first storm. Also, tides are astronomically low, so we have a couple of things going for us. And I think overall, out of the 3 nor'easters that we've had, this one may be the least damaging one. Not to say that you can't get isolated power outages, you can't get pockets of minor coastal flooding with some damage, but overall, thinking that we have a couple of things going for us. A, the drier snow, and B, the coastal tides here, the coastal flooding will be minimized thanks to the astronomical low tides. Guys?
All right, Chris, thank you. We do have a fast track alert on this Monday morning. Here's Elena Pinto. What's going on, Elena?
Amaka, good morning. So we're taking a live look hovering over the Canton area. We do have a crash, and it is in that left lane. And this is from 95 northbound to 128 northbound. It is on a ramp there. So again, this is in Canton. It's a crash on 95 northbound to 128 northbound. So it is on that ramp. Cars are moving pretty slowly by that crash. And you'll see that there is a tiny little delay from that as well. A little delay on 24. We have a big delay, though, on the expressway, and there is a crash to make that delay a little bit longer. That is on the expressway in the northbound lane, right at the exit to East Milton Square. Things are slow coming in on 93 from the north as well, and we have a couple of problems up there, too. First off, in Tewksbury, a ramp crash. That's from 495 northbound to the exit ramp to Route 123, and then we have another crash in the Reading area. That's on 93 southbound, right at the exit to Route 129, and after you cross over 128 from on 93, it's going to be stop and go pretty much the rest of the way into the city there. So your drive time going up certainly now, 33 on the expressway, about 15 on the Pike, 35 on 93. Good news, no delays on the T and the commuter trains.
That is some good news. Now the bad news. People across the state bracing for the latest winter storm. It is the 3rd nor'easter to hit the area in the past 10 days. Let that soak in. Several areas still dealing with the damage from the first 2 storms.
And many people were left scrambling for days with trees down, power outages, and now they're preparing to do it all over again. 7's Kim Lucy is live with more. Kim.
That's right, we're live inside South Station this morning. You know, a lot of people growing storm weary, really not happy to be hearing that we are bracing for the storm number 3 coming tomorrow. Of course, everything on time here at South Station right now. Lots of green on time, but everybody going to be bracing to see delays and cancellations here on the board at South Station once that storm hits. Already some changes announced on the T. In anticipation of the weather, the MBTA will not be running shuttle buses on the Red Line tonight and tomorrow. Now, those buses had been scheduled to replace trains between North Quincy and Braintree after 9 p.m. Instead, the trains will be running as usual. Shuttle buses scheduled to return Wednesday evening. Lots of trouble for commuters during the past 2 storms. During that heavy snow last Thursday, a branch came down on the tracks of the Lowell line. That led to a slow-speed derailment in Wilmington with 100 people on board. Nobody was hurt, but it wasn't the only issue on the tracks. Downed trees, debris impacting service across the region. You can see this tree down across wires on the Green Line in Newton, and high tide and flooding led to signal problems on the rails while turning parking lots into lakes. The MBTA not the only ones preparing for the storm. Some towns had power knocked out completely by the last storm. Utility companies now gearing up for another busy week. Tens of thousands of people just got their power back on this past weekend. Crews had been working around the clock to repair damage and restore power. National Grid posted this on their website. They say National Grid closely monitoring the next storm approaching our area. We are prepared. We want to make sure our customers are prepared too. Remember, it's a good idea to ensure your mobile devices and laptops are charged so you can stay connected with us. As always, if we do see issues again, you're reminded never to touch or go near a downed power line. Everybody today, of course, rush and get where they need to be this morning, but also watching and waiting to see exactly what this storm's impact will be. We're live inside South Station. Kim Lucy, 7 News Today, New England.
Great advice there, Kim. Staying away from those down power lines could save your life. As the storm moves in, you can count on the 7 News weather team for the most complete storm coverage. When we're not on air, you can always get the latest information you need by going to WHDH.com or on your 7 News mobile and tablet apps.
And now for today's top stories, the suspect in a cold case out of Kingston is set to face a judge in North Carolina. Police arrested a 62-year-old Michael Hand in connection with the 1986 murder of 15-year-old Tracy Gilpin. Now, Gilpin, the sister of current Mass State Police Colonel Carrie Gilpin, was found dead in Miles Standish State Park in Plymouth. The Plymouth County DA says they're working to bring Hand to Massachusetts to face murder charges. And 5 people are dead after a helicopter crash in New York City. The pilot was able to free himself and was rescued, but he was the only survivor. The helicopter reportedly experienced engine failure before plunging into the East River. All 5 passengers died, and police say they were tightly strapped in and had to be cut out.
There is a hate crime investigation now underway in Nantucket after a message of hate was found written on a historic building. Officials say someone vandalized the island's African meeting house with a racial and sexually explicit message. They say it was spray painted on the building Saturday night. On Sunday, volunteers worked to remove that hateful message. Police are now working to track down whoever's responsible. 2 parents in Milford accused of abusing one of their children expected to be in court today. Jeremy Coleman and Helena McKinstry were both arrested on Friday after police say that they beat their 11-month-old son. The child and his twin sister are now in DCF custody. The suspects have been charged with assault and battery on a child.
A concerning comment from a teacher at a Plymouth high school has police investigating, and now that teacher is off the job. School officials say on Friday students reported comments made by the teacher about a gun that he owns. Police were called and the school was placed into lockdown. Investigators say there was never any danger to students. The superintendent releasing a statement that reads in part, the teacher was removed from class and immediately put on administrative leave. His employment status is under review as this matter is the subject of an investigation. We will have no additional comment at this time. And a North Reading Walmart shut down after a sewer leak. The fire department was called to the store on Main Street on Sunday night. They say someone noticed that the sewage cover was bubbling. The Board of Health says the store will be shut down while repairs are being made.
More news today on the deadly standoff that happened at a veterans facility in California where a Massachusetts native was among 4 people killed. The gunman's former guardian says he did not have violent tendencies. Police say that Albert Wong, however, did shoot and kill 3 people during a hostage situation at a facility on Friday. The 36-year-old was a former patient there. He was found dead after an hours-long standoff. Wong's former guardian says he had trouble readjusting after he had been deployed to Afghanistan. One of the victims was an Easton native, her name Christine Lober. The 48-year-old was the executive director of that veterans home. She went to college at University of New Hampshire and went to graduate school at Boston College.
Senator Elizabeth Warren reiterating that she is not making a run for the White House in 2020. She spoke on CNN about her heritage and violence against Native American women.
I am not running for president in 2020, but let me tell you my story. I went to speak to Native American tribal leaders, and I made a promise to them that every time President Trump wants to try to throw out some kind of racial slur, he wants to try to attack me, I'm going to use it as a chance to lift up their stories.
President Trump has repeatedly called Warren, quote, Pocahontas, referring to her Native American heritage.
6:42 is your time. We have so much more still ahead here on the news station, including a freezing malfunction at an Ohio fertility clinic that has many potential parents concerned. Why the clinic is now facing legal action.
A chemical scare at a New York post office. Why 3 workers had to be rushed to the hospital.
Gold medal moment for U.S. Hockey Olympic fans. Hometown hero Megan Duggan of Danvers showing off her latest golden hardware.
And then, all new at 7, why exercise when you could take a bath instead? What a new study says about the benefits.
Sounds like my workout routine. Health scare for country music star Tim McGraw. What caused his frightening collapse right on stage?
And caught on camera. Look at this. Several people in Florida racing after a driver who had crashed into several cars. It's 6:43, and you're watching the news station.